Hi, my name is Carol Laird, and for my assignment 2 for public speaking, I'll be talking about the Menendez brothers case. When you think of Beverly Homes, what's the first thing you think of? Is it the glitz and glam of Hollywood or the rich socialites? Neither? When I think of Beverly Hills, I think of Kitty and Jose Menendez and their two sons, Lyle and Erik, who killed them. To begin, I'll be talking about the background on the murders and then the two views, the prosecution and the defendant's view on the murder case. To begin, the background is on August 20th, 1989, it's the day of the murders. Jose and Kitty Menendez are found in their Beverly Hills home, shot and killed by their two sons, Lyle and Erik. Shortly after the murders, they go to the movie theater to act as a sort of decoy, saying that they weren't at the murder scene. But when they hear nothing come up, they go back to the Beverly Hills home and call 911. When they call 911, the police arrive and treat them as victims, not suspects, because who would kill their parents in a Beverly Hills? They don't swab their hands for gunpowder residue or even check Erik's trunk where the shotgun shells are still hidden. Shortly after, on August 22nd and through the 25th in 1989, Erik and Lyle go on a shopping spree, spending well over $700,000 on a Porsche, Jeep Wrangler, multiple Rolexes, and even a restaurant. This leads to the suspicion of the two brothers, saying, why are they spending so much money and acting happy after their parents died? But the police can't charge them with that. Then, later on, in October 31st, 1989, Erik meets with his old therapist, Dr. Oziel. He confesses to all the murders, and shortly after, Lyle confesses too. He brings in Miss Judalon Smith without the brothers knowing, and she overhears Lyle's confession. This leads to in early March 1990, Miss Judalon Smith tells the police about the murders. Then, in March 8th, 1990, Erik and Lyle are arrested. Lyle is arrested first, and then Erik is arrested at the Los Angeles airport. And then 3 years later, the trial starts. The prosecutor's views are that this is a premeditated murder. They have a financial motive, premeditation motive, lack of immediate remorse, and confessions that Erik confessed to. Um, the financial motive is simple. They had a $14 million estate they were going to inherit, and they also had multiple other inheritance that they were going to get. So it's clear that this could have been out of greed, showing that their shopping spree lasted a pretty big amount of money. Um, in the Netflix doc, they state that one of the court people state, thank you, Your Honor, and good morning. What I'm going to outline here is an overview of what the people anticipate the evidence will show. On September of the 8th, 1989, 19 days after the killing, a life insurance policy, which had been procured earlier by Jose Menendez, was paid to the defendants. The policy cumulatively was for $650,000. We will prove to you that Lyle Menendez planned this murder and that he set off to spend the money, which he had been acquired through the killings of his parents. This murder was unlawful, unjustified, and wholly premeditated. This leads us into our next point, premeditation. The two brothers spent all their time a week before getting the guns, planning out the murder, planning to go to the movie theaters after. So it shows that this was not out of self-defense, that the brothers had been planning this for a while. Then it's the immediate lack of remorse. The brothers immediately lied on the 911 call. They lied about not about killing their parents, and they lied to the police. They also show that it was a immediate lack of remorse, shopping a spree afterwards, showing no grief to what happened to their parents. And then someone from People magazine states this article header is Erik Menendez admits to lying to the police about his parents in 1989 shooting. Quote, we should have been arrested that night, end quote. Then is the confession Erik states to Dr. Oziel, stating that he killed his parents, not bringing up any of the sexual abuse. The defense states that this was abuse and self-defense related. They had a long history of abuse, fear for the lives, psychological impact, and emotional states going on, proving that they should not get as harsh penalty as a death penalty. A history of abuse occurred when Jose Menendez sexually, physically, and emotionally abused his sons, and then later on, Kitty Menendez helped out with this. They were in constant fear for their lives. They didn't know what was going on, and they had a lot of trauma going on for this. This leads us into the fear for their lives issue. If either of the brothers mentioned that Erik or Lyle were being abused, their fathers would immediately kill them, saying that they could not tell anybody about what was going on, and that they would even take them out of their inheritance if they told anybody either. Someone from Newsweek states that Lyle, then 21, and Erik, then 18, admitted to fatally shooting their parents in the famous case, but they said that they were acting out of fear that their father, who they said had sexually abused Erik for years, was about to kill them to keep a secret. A psychological impact also occurred. The two brothers had brought in mental health experts like psychiatrists and psychologists who testified that Lyle and Erik both exhibited symptoms of PTSD, and someone from Crown Library states that Dr. John Wilson, a psychology professor from Cleveland State University, testified that Erik suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, that at the time he killed his parents. Wilson testified that the cause of the Erik's disorder was the repeated acts of sexual, physical, and psychological abuse that he experienced. Wilson said that Erik suffered from the classical symptoms of PTSD, including nightmares and amnesia. This left the brothers in a very emotional state. Um, they were just two young men who were abused their whole lives, and they're not seen as cold-blooded killers to the defense states. The main differences between these two positions is the prosecutors say that the motive of the crime is premeditated and out of greed, and the defense states that this was a outcome of physical, mental, and sexual abuse by the hands of their father. The post-murder, they spent lavishly proving them guilty in the prosecutor's mind, but for the post-murder, for the defense, they said that this was a coping mechanism, that everybody handles grief differently. Was it premeditation or reaction? The prosecutors state that this was premeditation because they purchased shotguns in advance, covered up the crime scene, and covered their tracks. The defense state that this was an ongoing reaction and they finally snapped due to the abuse. In the end, the two brothers' case can go either way. You can either say that this was driven by greed or self-defense, but ultimately they were sentenced to life without parole in prison in 1996. The debate still goes over the public's opinion on their motive, but overall they're still going to be held up in prison for the rest of their lives without parole. Thank you for your time. Here's my works cited, and thank you so much.